All right, it's Movember day 21. It's late. I've just come from running the second of a men's group, and it's 10 groups who are running sex, love and avoidance addiction. Lots of underlying trauma. And one of the tools I photocopied off a website today was out of this book. I've mentioned it before in this series of Movember talks. And it's Pete Walker's Toolbox number 6. And he says, I'm ending this book with a reiteration of the most essential principles of complex post-traumatic stress recovering. Please reread these steps to help anchor them to your psyche. Notice also if they reverberate with you more significantly than when you first read them back in chapter 8. And these are ways to deal with emotional flashbacks, to which he just classifies as the main symptom of complex post-traumatic stress. And the way I understand that now, the neuroscience is that's the implicit memory. It's the memory stored that don't have that linear time and date. So we're triggered in this minute by a trigger right in the here and now, but we are now reliving a moment unresolved. So these are the things that he has worked and used as tools with his patients, and I want to read them to you now. Number 1. Say to yourself, I'm having a flashback. Flashbacks take you into a timeless part of the psyche that feels as helpless and hopeless and surrounded by danger as you were in childhood. The feelings and sensations you're experiencing are past memories that cannot hurt you now. Just accepting, radical acceptance that I'm having it. So often we fight against it, a bit like being caught in a rip. If I'm in the sea and getting carried out and start to panic and fight against it, it's what kills us. If I just relax and go with it and accept I'm in a rip, I'm in a flashback, and that I can just allow myself to sort of radically accept it and start to deal with the symptoms of it, I can get some respite. Number 2, remind yourself, I feel afraid, but I'm not in danger. I am safe now, here in the present. Remember, you are now in the safety of the present, far from danger of the past. Number 3, own your right-need to have boundaries. Remind yourself that you do not have to allow anyone to mistreat you. You are free to leave dangerous situations and protest unfair behaviour. Pia Melody, in her work on developmental trauma, said that boundaries were the first functional adult skill that needed to be established. Otherwise, we remain a victim or we become a perpetrator. 4, speak reassuringly to the inner child. The child needs to know that you love him or her unconditionally, that she can come to you for comfort and protection when she feels lost and scared. I've worked with plenty of people to get in touch with that vulnerability, would do inner child meditations or see pictures of themselves. On my desk here, I have a picture of myself just as a 2-year-old boy that reminds me not to overwork and to take care of that vulnerable part of me. So it's to learn to start to have a relationship with ourselves in that inner child self. Number 5, deconstruct eternity thinking. In childhood, fear and abandonment felt endless. A safer future was unimaginable. Remember, this flashback will pass as it always has before. 6, remind yourself that you are in an adult body with allies, skills, resources to protect you in a way you never had as a child. Feeling small and fragile is a sign of a flashback. 7, ease back into your body. Fear launches you into a heady, wiring and numbing place where we space out. So A, gently ask your body to relax. Feel each of your major muscle groups and softly encourage them to relax. Tightened muscles send false danger signals to the brain. That William James statement, I always badly paraphrase it, but do we run because we're in fear, or are we in fear because we're running? B, breathe deeply and slowly. Holding your breath is also signals danger. One of the things that the author Stephen Porges in this book in this book, the polyvagal theory, out of all the neuroscience that, as he discovered the vagal system and its reactions, he recognized that the breath, the mechanical act of breathing, gates is sort of like the handbrake, and it gates that stress nerve. So it was, even though this is quite a hijacking experience when the vagal nerve's triggered, just that mechanical act of breathing. I sometimes can find the sentence, but I've been threatening to talk on this, and I will talk on this. I always get a bit frightened talking about the polyvagal theory because I'm an enthusiast, not a scientist, but maybe I will come back to it. But that was the phrase that I was always impressed by, is that I don't need to know the neuroscience to know that it will, if I can just regulate my breathing, it will challenge my nervous system to think that I'm not in that stress that I'm sort of reliving right now. Slow down. Rushing presses the brain's fight. Slow down. Rushing presses the brain's flight response button. So just slowing the pace, slowing the thinking, breathing, getting grounded. Find a safe place to unwind and soothe yourself. Wrap yourself in a blanket, hold a pillow or a stuffed animal, lie down in your bed or in a closet or in a bath, or take a nap. Do and take yourself to any place that sort of increases that level of comfort and safety. Feel the fear in your body without reacting to it. Fear is just an energy in your body. It cannot hurt you if you do not run from it. And just sort of learning to feel it, as strange as that can be. Just surrender and breathe and feel. Number 8, resist the inner critic's dramatizing and catastrophizing. A, use thought stopping to halt the critic's endless exaggerations of danger and its constant planning to control the uncontrollable. Refuse to shame, hate, or abandon yourself. Channel the anger of the self-attack into saying no to your inner critic's unfair self-criticism. B, use thought substitution and thought correction to replace negative thinking with your memorized list of qualities and accomplishments. Pia Melody mentions that too in her work, about trying to at least challenge that inner critic and work on that low self-esteem by deliberately and mechanically affirming the self till it becomes second nature. Allow yourself to grieve. Number 9, flashbacks are opportunities to release old, unexpressed feelings of fear, hurt, and abandonment. Validate and soothe the child's past experience of helplessness and hopelessness. Healthy grieving can turn your tears into self-compassion and your anger into self-protection. Number 10, cultivate safe relationships and seek support. Take time alone when you need it, but don't let shame isolate you. Shame hates an audience, as John Bradshaw says. Feeling shame doesn't mean that you're shameful. Educate your intimates about flashbacks and ask them to help you talk and feel your way through them. I remember a lady that used to ring me, and she used to have dreadful panic attacks and these emotional flashbacks, and I knew it was her on the phone because I couldn't hear anything, and then I could slowly hear breathing, and I would just start to talk and reassure her. And over the years, those flashbacks started to get managed, and she'd ring me when she was in it. She'd start to be able to vocalize and reach out. But it's one of those things that our shame blocks us from community and connection. But if we can work through that, it's incredibly shame reducing. Tonight, my co-therapist, Adriana Villa, was making that point to the group that the acceleration of the shame reduction that comes from group work is a really important asset to that group facilitation that can also happen in one-on-one, but it's just so much faster when so many other people are nodding, saying me too. 11, learn to identify the types of triggers that lead to flashbacks. Avoid unsafe people, places, activities, and triggering mental processes. Practice preventative maintenance with these steps when triggering situations that are unavoidable. In the 12-step fellowships, originating from AA, the idea of that we're not just powerless over alcohol itself, but we're also powerless over the impact of people, places, and things. 12, figure out what you're flashing back to. Flashbacks are opportunities to discover, validate, and heal the wounds of past abuse and abandonment. They also point to your still unmet developmental needs and can provide you with motivation to get them met. And number 13, Be patient with the slow recovery process. It takes time in the present to become de-adrenalized, and considerable time in the future to gradually decrease the intensity. Duration and frequency of flashbacks. Real recovery is a gradually progressive process, often 2 steps forward, 1 step back, not an attained salvation fantasy. Don't beat yourself up for having a flashback. So I hope this little tips, the toolbox of Pete Walker for 13 steps for managing flashbacks. It's online in this book. You can get it on Kindle for about $9. Please look it up. There's a bit of a shot of it. I'll be back on tomorrow. Maybe I'll take a risk and talk about the polyvagal theory. One thing tonight, if you're out there, if you are seeing this video and you are in trouble, please reach out. Ring Men's Line, ring Lifeline, ring any line. Just talk to another human being. It can be so hard when we're lost in these flashbacks. And so take a risk, please, and reach out for help. Private message me. I'll do my best to answer back. I'm doing this for MOvember. I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing yet. But if you can, please donate. I've hit a bit of a lull with my campaign to hit $2,000 to donate towards the charity. So please, if you can, I think I said today, I will match what you put down, and as a donation. So if you put 20 down, I'll put 20 down. You put 100 down, I'll put 100 down. I'll match those donations for the next 48 hours. So take care and reach out if you need help. Thank you.